so let's start the presentation. I will actually, I would like to spend only like 15 minutes with the presentation, maybe some other 15 minutes showing you actually the tools real time. You know, not only slides and me talking to you. I will actually share an actual remote desktop with the tools that I will talk to you about today, like working, installed, and so on. And maybe we can spend the rest of the call, the remaining 15 minutes with questions you might have. Okay, so let's start. Okay, well, of course, the goal is to improve our overall security posture. And we have the 80-20 rule in problem solving. What this means is there's only a small percent of actions that will fix 80% of the issues we have. So if we only perform 20% of important actions, that will have an impact on 80% of the problems. And this works out actually for pretty much everything, including, of course, cybersecurity. We just have to work on the top 20% of actions, and that will actually advance our posture and will improve it by around 80%. Believe it or not, even though cybersecurity sometimes can seem to be so complicated, actually it's not that hard. It's just making up your mind and be used to use some very basic tools and implementing some basic practices, and you will actually improve quite a lot. So we will abort this with a 3-step approach. First, we will talk about account security, then data security, and then passive security measures. The first two actions here are more of an active approach. The rest is just like set it up and forget, pretty much. So, well, let's start. On the last call, I spoke about strong and unique passwords, and I also told you about 2-factor authentication. Well, as you know, the first line of defense will always be your password. So that has to be super strong, and that has to be unique, like one single password for each account. Of course, you may have maybe 5 or 10 different accounts, and sometimes it's hassle to remember a bunch of passwords, and some of us just fall into the bad practice of repeating the password for those accounts, or just making some slight variations of one single password. Maybe we can just add a different number at the end, or a different set of characters, or just a different word at the end. But having like variations of one same password actually fires back, because it makes it easier for hackers to break those passwords. And then on the last call, I also told you about 2-factor authentication, although I didn't have a chance to actually show you exactly how that works. I think that most of you are actually now using 2-factor authentication, but for the folks here that are still in the need to learn about it, we will actually cover some examples. And then, of course, this is like the basics of password security. I know you have heard this over and over, but trust me, when we, the IT guys, when we start actually helping someone with cybersecurity issues, there's always a password problem, always. So just don't forget about this. Of course, this is regarding passwords, but just keep in mind you can still use passphrases, which are somewhat stronger. Actually, we will have more on passphrases on an upcoming webinar. But just to remind you by the basics, of course, your password has to be 16 characters or longer. Just avoid keyboard or numeric patterns. Why? Because there are programs that can guess your password with statistical data from previous data lakes. So it's important for you not to follow numeric patterns such as 1, 2, 3, or just consecutive letters on your keyboard. Also, just keep personal information out. Don't put anything regarding your birth year or the school you graduated from, etc. Of course, use a combination of uppercase, lowercase, digits, and symbols. Please not in that order. I have seen lists of weak passwords that are exactly made like that, an uppercase, lowercase, digits, and symbols at the end. And that makes things easier for hackers to break into passwords because they can feed like artificial intelligence algorithms to try to make statistical guesses against people's passwords. And most of the times they can actually break into those. So you can maybe put, I don't know, if you're using a symbol, maybe a dot, a question mark, or an underscore, try to put it on the middle. And same case, if you are using uppercase, maybe you might not want to use the uppercase at the beginning. Just make things harder or more complicated. Of course, avoid common used words that can be found in a dictionary. As I said, use passwords or use variations of one same password. Well, then we have, regarding account security, we have two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication. You can do this with apps. In this case, here you have 3 options. Google Authenticator, which is actually what I like the most, Microsoft Authenticator, and LastPass. There are other options, Authy. It's a very good app as well. And then we have hardware-based two-factor authentication. And this means you have to have a USB plugged into your computer to be able to access your account. So you can use a combination of these options on top of biometric security. Maybe you can have your phone or your computer ask you for your fingerprint or face recognition to be able to log into your account. I know you guys have been hearing this quite a lot about multi-factor authentication, but actually it's present of most of the applications and security programs, but it's optional and like you have to opt in. Actually, when you sign up for a Google account, they don't suggest you to implement two-factor authentication at the beginning. They just like tell you to create a password, and you have to go deep into the settings to be able to use two-factor authentication. And that is actually to make people's life easier to sign up for their services, but it kind of fires back when it comes to security, because most of users don't mind looking at the security settings, so they just keep the default settings, and that's when problems can start popping up. Then regarding data security, this is actually about using VPN and TOR. Remember that question in the poll that said that that if you suspect your internet traffic could be monitored, we have mainly 2 options to fight surveillance. Keep in mind that telecommunications companies can just give out information about its users. So the internet company you are using can just give out your IP address, the websites you visit, what times of the day you connect. Maybe they are not able to give out emails because that's protected under passwords, etc. But they can actually have access to all your browsing history. Even if you activate incognito mode on browsers, that only serves the purpose of not leaving fingerprints on your own computer, but you still leave the fingerprints on your provider. It doesn't matter if it's on a cell phone over cellular network or if it's on Wi-Fi, any company providing you internet access can actually know what websites you visit, and this comes into play a lot in rush regimes where the government starts to censor certain websites or to restrict access to social media during a protest or etc. Like using VPN and TOR can help you circumvent certain restrictions that states impose on their citizens. Just keep in mind that using VPN is not legal in every country, so make sure to check your local law. Of course, we don't want you to get into trouble. But VPN has been very useful. For example, right now in Russia, a lot of Western media websites and just programs have been banned from internet users in Russia. So some of them are using VPN to circumvent those restrictions and have access to media that isn't controlled by their government. So this is very useful. Regarding options to protect your anonymity and privacy, of course you have for Tor you have the Tor browser, and for VPN you have Proton VPN, you have Mules VPN, and you have some other providers. I will actually show you how this works in 2 minutes. So as I said, I will go kind of fast through the slides so I can show you actually how that works. And then, of course, the passive security measures are somewhat easy to accomplish. Just have your antivirus software and firewall activated and updated. There are some free antiviruses out there. They're not, I mean, they are good enough. You don't really have to pay for protection. The free antiviruses work okay. You just have to have the definitions updated. And most of them will actually check for definitions every time you restart your computer, or maybe on a daily basis. So just keep that updated. That's it. And of course, you have to have your software up to date. This means the operating system on your computer or on your phone, and also the apps on your phone or computer, because some hackers can use like security holes to get into your computer or phone. So as long as you have the latest versions of the apps and operating system on your devices, you are pretty much okay. This also includes devices that you often set up forget, such as your home Wi-Fi router. If you have security cameras, make sure to also update the firmware on those devices, and also your TVs, etc. Any device with access to the internet must be updated. We know cases where TVs were used to spy on people. Some TVs have actually webcams to capture your hand gestures, etc. And some hackers, some government hackers, have actually broken into TVs to turn on the cameras. So just make sure to have everything updated. Now, as I told you, I would like to switch to present my screen. So I will stop the presentation now so I can share another window here. Give me a second. Okay. All right. Okay, so this is a remote computer I set up for you guys for today's call. Here I have some other programs I told you about. Let me start with the VPN software, which is something that I get a lot of questions about. This app right here, which is called Proton VPN. this is a free VPN service, which also has an encrypted drive and encrypted email. So you sign up for the Proton services and you have access to those three services. For VPN, you also have this other app that I like a lot, which is called Mules VPN. This is actually not free, although the fee is super. I mean, it's super. I mean, it's not that expensive at all. And what I like a lot about MuleVat is that you have a bunch of countries to pick where you want to connect to VPN servers. So you have options in Eastern Europe, North America, you know, pretty much everywhere. So Japan, Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, even Singapore has some VPN servers, and you can check. You can actually open a server and pick city, any city you want, and so the paid version has all these options. Proton VPN will give you a chance to connect to 2 or 3 different servers, and I will try to explain to you why this is important. So I'm gonna open here my browser, and I'll visit this website. What is my IP address? So here. Okay, so of course, this is a virtual machine. And of course, this is not my real location. But if you open this website on your own computer, you will be able to see your approximate location. So think about it. If you visit any website, your IP address, which is this number right here, will be revealed to the owner of the website. And using that IP address, they can pinpoint like somewhat your location and which company gives you internet access. So that information can be used to ask the right provider about your data and so on. And also your internet company will have a record of every website you visit, and of course they have a record of who they gave this IP address to. This IP address is a number that is unique. There are not 2 IP addresses that are the same. They're completely unique. So each device connected to the internet has a different IP address, like an IP address that is exposed to the open internet. So when you are using VPN, let's say if you connect to a VPN service, let's say in Germany, and you reopen this website, your location will be masked. And a big advantage is that if let's say if the government is requesting your internet service provider for a list of websites you visit, if you are connected using VPN, they will only see traffic to the VPN server, and they will not be able to watch which websites you visit, etc. And they won't even know if you are using certain apps like WhatsApp, because that of course connects to specific servers. So they want to have access to your internet connection habits. And of course, if you are masking your computer behind a VPN IP address, then your real IP address is not exposed to the public. So that's also another way to stop internet attacks by using VPN. And this is very convenient. So you have those options right there. And the other app I would like to show you was TOR. So let me, I'm sorry, launch it for browser. Okay. Okay, I think I have to reinstall the app. I'll show it to you in some minutes. Now, another program I'm willing to I wanted to share with you is the two-factor authentication. I will show you how this works. Okay, so this is a dummy email account I created for today's call. Okay, this is just a regular email account. But since I want to use different passwords for every account and I want to use a complex password, I actually used what is called a password manager, which is a program that where I store every single password for my accounts, and this list of passwords is protected with encryption. So this is a program you might want to use. This is a program that is available for Windows, for Mac, and for Linux. So I already set up my database here. I will just log in to my vault. Okay, great, there you go. So as you can see here, I have four accounts. So this is how this works. I'm going to right click on the Gmail account I already set up, and I'm gonna click copy password. Then I will switch back to the Gmail screen, and I will right click and hit paste. As you can see, this is a very long password. There is no way. I mean, it's actually hard for someone to remember a bunch of super long passwords. So the solution is just use the password manager. And as you can see, I didn't have to type in my password. And this is also a security measure because there are programs that actually spy on your keystrokes. So they record every keystroke on your computer and send it to the attacker. If you copy and paste the password, it's much more complicated to access the volatile memory on your computer. And besides, when you copy passwords to your clipboard, they only live for around 5 or 10 seconds, depending on the duration you set up on the program. So this solves the issue of your keystrokes being recorded, and it also solves the issue of having to remember a bunch of different passwords. So I'm hitting next, and then I am asked to enter the two-step verification code. And for this, I am using Google Authenticator, which is this app right here that basically generates random codes that are only valid for 60 seconds. So in this example right here, this user has Google set up. He also has Instagram and Discord. In this other example, actually the apps here are blurred out, but basically you set this up by scanning this QR code with the Google Authenticator app on your phone. And once you scan this code, you will have the specific app added into the collection of one-time use passcodes. So okay, so I'm going to grab my phone, and I'm going to open the Google Authenticator app, and then I will enter the codes here. Okay. Now I have access to my mailbox. So just put this into perspective. Not only I have a strong password, I also have a second layer of authentication using Google Authenticator. And actually I have 3 steps of security because I had to enter a password to open my password vault. So I'm able to just right click and copy the password. So this is an example of a security approach with a multi-layer security approach. So I have the password on my computer, then I have the password for my password manager, then I have the password for my account, and then I have the passcode for my email account. So that way you are pretty much having your information secure. And I will show you how this works. You can add, for instance, an account. Let's say I want to add my Twitter account here. So on Twitter, let's say my email. Actually, I will copy the email from here. Okay. So, okay. Let's say this is my Twitter's email to log in, which is not. So let's just pretend. And this program also has the ability to generate random passwords. So I will click on this button right here, and this will give me the ability to select either a password. I will reveal the random password that this program generates. I can actually increase the amount of characters on the random password. Of course, you will not be able to remember this. That's too much to ask. But you can also opt to use a passphrase, which can be somewhat easier to remember. So check this out. Here we have 8 words. And this is somewhat easier to remember than a password that looks like this. So let's say I want to use these passwords. So I just click apply password. And I hit OK. And then of course, that password that I created here, I have to establish the same password on Twitter. So I would log into Twitter using my regular username and password. Then I will go to the Twitter's account settings and change my password for what I created here. And then the next time I want to use Twitter, then as easy as just right click and copy right click and copy username. Of course, there's not an account with this, so this is gonna say that I don't have an account. That's how it works. And there's also some other thing I would like to show you about. Okay, check this out. I will create a password data vault from scratch. So let me close this. So creating. So this is how you create a database. Just click new database. I can put this. I can put password vault. I can continue. These are all settings that you can actually just leave as default, and they will be secure. So I hit continue, and then the system will ask you to create a master password. Of course, you cannot forget this master password, because if you forget this password, there's no one that can help you to retrieve it. So make sure you use a strong password for your vault. And then the program will ask me to select where I would like to save this file. So, I'm just saving this on my quick access, and then that's it. Then I can just start to create entries here, or I can directly use the password generator just to have some additional random passwords. This program right here is also available for other platforms. Check this out. This is available for Windows, of course, for Mac and Windows. And although there is not a specific iOS or Android app, there is a program that these guys endorse, and you can use this program on your mobile phone, and you can actually import the file that you saved to your mobile phone, so you can have the same passwords saved on your system. There's also some other options, of course, like LastPass. This is web-based. They have a free plan, and this is just an add-on on your browser. I will actually show you how that works. I will turn on LastPass. Then I can just launch it. Okay, so I'm opening my Vault. And as you can see, this is web-based. Like, you don't really have to install anything on your browser. In your computer. This is only an add-on that lives on your browser. And if you download the LastPass app on your phone, you have access to the same database of passwords. You don't have to import any files from one platform to the other. Now, the big difference between these kind of solutions is that your password vault lives on the internet, on the cloud. And of course, it's protected with encryption, etc. But if you want to have like a complete control of your passwords, you can just rely on a solution that lives exclusively on your computer. So here you can add entries. For instance, I have my Gmail account set up here, and you can also tell either LastPass or Keepass XE to autocomplete your password and your username field, so you don't have to right-click copy, right-click paste. You can automate that using autocomplete, although I like to do it the old-fashioned way, so I can have control, because you never know. Maybe you are just on an internet cafe or on a coffee shop using your laptop. Maybe someone can just steal the laptop from you with your session unlocked, and if you have autofill, they can just get into your accounts. So that's why I always like to have the control of when my username and passwords are being autocompleted on the different accounts. So I think we still have 12 minutes. I will stop sharing my screen, and then we can maybe have a small discussion, or if you want to share some experiences, you can also write something in the chat. I can read it out loud without revealing your name, so you can remain confidential. Or maybe if Jorge Luis or if Luis Manuel have something to share, maybe we can do that. So I'm open now to comments or questions you might have. Someone asked if this was available on Linux. Yes, it is. Oh, you know what? Maybe I can share the app that you can use on your phone. So let me relaunch the screen sharing. Hold on. Here we go. This is the app for Android phones. As you can see, the name is very similar. It's Keepass DX against the other app, which was called Keepass XC. But this app is available for Android phones. So this link will take you directly to the Play Store. You can install this app on your phone, and you can just import the database that you generated on your computer. This is an extra step that you must you must do if you are willing to do this, to have the database stored on your own computer. Of course, if you are using cloud-based solutions, you don't have to do this. But if you want to use programs like this, you can use Keepass EX for your phone and Keepass XE for your computers. Do you have any questions so far, or any comments you would like to share? If not, maybe I can ask Jorge Luis or Luis Manuel to maybe to share some feedback or comments.
Sebastian, there's a question on the chat. The question is, I'm not sure if anyone here has the same experience, but VPN can significantly slow down a connection here in the Philippines. Is it recommended to use Tor or Onion without the VPN? The browser I use is Onion.
You know what? That's a very good question. The thing is, when you are using the Onion browser on your phone or the Tor browser on your computer, keep in mind that these programs are bouncing your connection between Tor nodes. So that's why your internet will be slower, because normally when you want to have access to a website, your computer requests the website to your provider. The provider goes directly to the website you want to visit and then gives the website back to your computer. But when you're using Onion browser or Tor, your request will be bounced between, I believe, four endpoints. And that's actually the way Tor and Onion browser have to anonymize your request. So when you visit a website, the website you are visiting does not know where the real request is coming from. They only see the last node on the Onion on the Tor network. That's why it takes longer. And when you use VPN, it depends on the provider. It depends on where the VPN server is physically located. If you are in Asia and you pick up a server in Europe or North America, of course, that'll take longer because your request is actually traveling all the way to another continent and then going back. And there's a delay, but actually the delay is much more greater when you use on the Onion browser or Tor, and even more if you log into VPN first and then to the Tor network. That's even slower, but that's actually the most secure way to do it, because when you are using the Tor or the Onion network, the internet provider knows you are actually using that, because they do have a list of Tor nodes, so they clearly see that you are using Tor, even though they don't know exactly what you're visiting or what your server habits are. They know you're using the Tor network, and that can kind of serve to single out a user amongst a sea of other users. So you can use VPN and then Tor, but that will slow down your connections. Okay. Yep. If Jorge Luis or Luis, if you have any other comments, or maybe we can wrap up if you want.
Yeah, thank you, Jorge Sebastian. Very, very, very interesting. Yeah, I think you cover many of the topics related to the tools and the use of passwords. But I think I have a question related with the usually a lot of people feel that downloading some of the VPNs is still a little bit difficult for certain people, especially if you're using mobile technology when you're reporting. I wonder if there is anything that would be like just click aways, right? Like quick downloads and you work it like a regular browser, but it seems to me that sometimes they could be complicated, don't you think? Especially in countries, you know, that have very slow bandwidth.
Yes, I think with every security tool that you start using, there is always a small trade-off, and frequently that'll be enough for a user to opt not to use the tools. But you know what? There's a very interesting practice among regimes that are not so democratic. Sometimes they actually slow down on purpose connections to VPN providers and to the Tor network, because the companies have the ability to cap traffic. So they are not actively banning people from accessing VPN services or Tor, but sometimes some governments ask the internet service providers to slow connections to those services, so people are discouraged from using them, and that's kind of a silent banning on those services. So that's a reality. So we cannot exactly fight against that unless you use a whole different solution to connect to the internet, such as the Elon Musk Starlink service, which is super expensive. But maybe if an organization has problems with slow speeds and they suspect, or the community knows that those services are being slowed down by the government, I don't know, maybe there's a way to seek funds to install one of these antennas that use satellite internet, perhaps.
Excellent. Jorge Sebastian. I don't know, Jorge Luis, if you have any other questions before we wrap up. We have about 2 more minutes. If not, we could just remind everybody the upcoming activities.
I don't have any question at this moment, but I think Sebastian can just round up the conversation, saying in few words, what exactly is what journalists and human rights defenders need to have in order to consider that they have the basic steps on digital security, meaning some password, meaning anonymous navigation, or what exactly, just in a few words, they need to know or they need to have?
I think first of all, they need to have unique passwords for every account. I would strongly recommend the use of password managers and either VPN or TOR. And you know what, Jorge Luis? I actually, there's 2 questions now on the Q&A box. The first one is, do you recommend the Brave as a browser? It has a high level of security and security management too. Yes, I like Brave browser a lot. I like it a lot because it automatically blocks website trackers. So have you noticed that sometimes when you are looking certain products on Amazon or any other local store, then you start getting ads everywhere about your internet searches? That's because there are trackers on pretty much every website you visit. So when you are using Brave, those trackers are automatically blocked. And there's also some other features that Brave browser has for its users, and it's as far as I understand, it's based somewhat on, it's like a spin-off of Chromium. So it is actually very, very useful. The other question I have here is, I am using a public Wi-Fi. How can I prevent the owner of this network from tracking my browsing? just use a VPN service. That's the easiest way. The owner of, or the administrator of the public Wi-Fi network will only see traffic coming back and forth the VPN server, but they won't be able to have access to any traffic coming in and out of your computer. And this is important in places where the government sets up open Wi-Fi hotspots. Sometimes they do it just to try to catch people surfing into opposition websites or groups. I know that, for instance, in Cuba, the government sets up free Wi-Fi access points for civilians to connect for free, but those kind of hotspots are monitored. So if you start browsing websites or contacting people that the government doesn't like, it might come up through you. So if you are using a public Wi-Fi hotspot, just launch a VPN app, and that'll be it. Some VPN applications can be set up to activate every time. So every time you have access to the internet, that connection will go out and go back in through the Wi-Fi. To the VPN app. I think Mulvad has the ability to remain always on. Like, you don't have to launch the app and sign on. If you enable always on VPN access on your Android settings, for instance, and you link it to the Mulvad VPN, you will always have VPN service. And same thing with your computer. You can set up a kill switch so that if you by any chance lose access to the internet, access to your VPN service, the internet will be cut off until you restart the access to the VPN service, so you always navigate protected. Yeah.
Thank you, Jorge Sebastián.